Alright, then let's call the meeting to order, 6:05, 18:05, whichever way you prefer. So they're both texting, they'll be right up,
Okay,
or we can get started.
we can get started.
Okay.
So this is the second public hearing of the select board on the proposed subdivision regulations. The planning commission has already had two. We passed it on to the select board. We had our first one in September, and this will be our second and possibly final public hearing on this. Jason Rasmussen's here from Mount Scotty Regional Commission, along with a couple, Maureen and Tim from the Planning Commission as well, who put a lot of work into these. I don't know if you want to give a quick synopsis on it.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. I guess we've been at it now for 2.5 years. The select board charged us with coming up with some draft subdivision regulations. We've had 2 open forums. The first one, we had a lot of remarks saying that they were a little complicated. We simplified things for the second one. And then, so basically what the subdivision regulations do is they control subdivision of land. And we have 2 categories. There's a minor, which is the subdivision of land into 3 or more lots, which includes the original lot. So it would be 2 new lots. And then there's a major subdivision category, which is 5 lots or 3 lots or more. And then they have basically there's tables in our subdivision regulations that say what's required for each for the minor submission requirement and subdivision requirements. And basically what we put in the beginning of the subdivision regulations, that any of the articles, any of the regulations can be basically waived, yeah, if like for a subdivision application. If the planning commission or the development review board, which may be the same, if they think that, this condition really doesn't apply, we could waive basically any condition. So that's where we are now.
So I just want to clear, it's minor is 3 or less,
Yes.
and major is 4 or more, and that includes the initial parcel.
Yes.
And I'd just add, if I could, we did a couple, I think I helped the planning commission to do a couple other things to kind of sort of minimize, I guess, the impact of things. So boundary adjustments are exempt. So if you're not creating a new lot, you're just changing a line. That doesn't have to go through the process. That's exempt. And you don't need a full perimeter survey for subdivisions involving like really large lots. I think we said 50 acres or more. So, and that plus the waivers, we hope makes this pretty flexible and easy to work with for the smaller projects. And I think, this is not zoning. This is not regulating the use of land or the densities or anything like that. It's really focused on lot layouts, driveways, access, the drainage associated with those, and utilities, things like that. So really that's what this is about.
And they tend to give a little bit more weight to the town plan, right? So if you had a public hearing, the town plan comes into effect quite heavily on, I mean, it's going to reference the town plan.
It does reference the town plan, and it is part of it, but mostly the standard. I would say the standards that are written in Article 5, I think it is, are really the concrete things that a project would need to either address or ask for a waiver for.
And I think, people may ask, why do we need subdivision regulations? Basically, it's to protect property values.
Sure.
A lot of people have their investments wrapped up in their property. So it's really, that's the overriding goal.
But I think we'd be more than happy to answer any questions if anybody has questions.
Well, I got one question that I got too late for the last hearing by email, but I didn't know if you want me to read the email or
The one you shared with me earlier.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was lengthy. I don't know how you.
I could either read it out or they're here if you wanted to ask the questions or just read the email. But
Oh, it's.
the email I got from you, before
Oh.
the last.
I
can just-
forgot what was in that email.
Okay, I'll
It's
just
a long
read it.
time ago.
I'll just
But
read it
I
real
do,
quick.
okay, yes, please.
It won't take that much. We would like to know what legal tool other than litigation the town has to protect the taxpayers' properties from drinking water contamination, air and noise pollution, and property devaluation, which could result from mineral extraction, a waste dumping operation, or any other use of the multiple subdivided under 1 acre lots that do not require any permit in a no zoning town. Would you consider the requirement of stormwater discharge permit issued by the state for such subdivided properties before any use, but especially before any extraction? Because the residents settled a 6-year-long dispute about a proposed quarry, and their stormwater discharge permit was issued by the state. The state has the jurisdiction over that. And if the subdivision bylaws are passed as written, it seems that neither the town nor the state would have any legal protection to the residents over their drinking water, contamination of drinking water, noise and air pollution coming from the subdivided properties. There could be up to 5 lots subdivided from the existing larger lot, which would not require Act 250. And the town plan is not considered in this case. As it looks for approval for subdivision, it's a simple and no-cost procedure. No engineering survey is required. The town will require a permit for a structure or driveway, but in the meantime, if there is no structure to be built, the new owners may operate not 1, but up to 5 small quarries or use of land for other operations. Because there's no we don't have any zoning in town. So we kind of answered, I sent this email to Jason today so we could kind of clarify and get the answers for you on this. These subdivision bylaws would regulate the creation of the new lots, including the less than 1 acre lots that might be used for mining and similar uses, which would, stormwater, road access, and that would all be under the review of the subdivision. But without zoning, we wouldn't regulate the use of the property.
That's
That's not what we would be doing. And today, up to 5 lots can be created without Act 250 or any local review, other than access permits, state well and septic, and that's what these subdivision bylaws are kind of be there for, to help with that. Right now, anybody could subdivide, but these subdivision regulations would have to put in something in there, and it could be under the review of the board. And a survey is required by by these bylaws in most cases. And of course, the board can always ask for additional engineering studies or anything like that. But since I got that late, I wanted to make sure we at least addressed it in this meeting, so. Did that answer?
Some, yes, but I have another question. I couldn't find anything in these bylaws on size lot minimum, on a frequency, how often you can subdivide, and on a number of subdivisions, the maximum subdivisions that could happen on one property. That I couldn't find anything. Is there any reason for not specifically saying that?
So there's no minimum lot size because there's no zoning that creates density standards or minimum lot sizes. So it's silent on that. Once you issue a subdivision, it's like pretty much forever. It's in the land records. So there's no real time limit on subdivision. And there's no real maximum number of lots either. At least we certainly haven't specified it in here. Usually it's however big the lot is and how, whatever it can take in terms of septic and water. Once you do all the calculations, you figure out how many lots can be on there technically from that point of view, and that's probably its practical limit, but there's no written limit in the bylaws.
Okay, and so no specific frequency, like you can subdivide minor subdivision annually or every 6 months, and it could be 2 lots and 2 lots and 2 lots, and each is under 1 acre, and then you can operate anything you want on those small lots.
Did we put a limit on the
We talked about it in one of the
for
planning.
major? I guess, and when it comes to doing a major, I think there's a timeline in here, but other than that,
No.
there isn't.
Yeah, I think you're
Could
right.
that be added?
Because we
Maybe
did,
that-
I remember this conversation, and I think one of the other public hearings.
Also, Act 250 would come into play with that in terms of the frequency.
Okay, so if it's 2 lots and 2 lots and 2 lots, that's already 6 lots considered, and up to 50 will be required?
Yeah, it's 5 or more lots would require
Right,
Act
so
250.
each minor subdivision would be added.
Well, I think once it reached, there is a time limit for Act 250. I'm not sure what it is, but you can't just keep dividing lots, 2 here, 2 there. At some point, within a certain radius, mile radius, would have to go through an Act 250 permit application.
Okay, thank you.
Lost my questions. Oh, the other one I was talking about is on the road, and the access, which we already talked about. And just so everybody knows, anything with over 3 structures on it because of 911 requires a private road designation or a road designation with a new name. Any questions from the board?
Any questions from the board? No, when I was reading through it, I was looking at the list of things required, and I'm thinking, and then it kind of clicked in my head, it kind of all goes together, I can see it. And then the fact that there was a checklist afterwards, okay. Makes it a little easier, and then you're like, okay, I can see where that goes with that, and that goes with that, and that's needed, and yeah. Also like the shape of the lot thing.
Yeah, we are trying to avoid those irregular shaped
Yeah.
lots. Yep. And yeah, we're trying to make it as clear as possible with those checklists and things like that. But again, there's always those waivers where certain things just don't make sense for a particular project, so they could ask to be something to be waived.
Tim, when we were talking about when 250 would come in, maybe with 5 or 6 lots at some time period, are we sure when that happens? You know, is it after 2 years or is it? I mean, you seem to. Do you know exactly when 250 would come into play?
Well, it's 5 or more lots.
Okay,
I'm not sure of the frequency.
right.
I know at some point it would kick in at 250.
And I guess, what is that point? I don't.
Once you reach 5 or more lots.
It used to be 5 years. 5 lots within 5 years and 5 miles, I
Okay.
think.
Yes.
I don't know if that's still the case.
I don't know either, but I know you're right, it's 5 years,
Yeah.
but I don't remember if that's. But there is a limit, so you can't subdivide it, and then next month subdivide it.
I think it is still 5 years, but don't hold me to that. And you don't want somebody to do 2 lots every year and just
Right.
keep doing it until all of a sudden you're
Right.
Because then
More
they're
than
all
that
in the minor,
limit.
so,
right.
all in the minors, which. But this gives you the flexibility. Anyways, it would give the administrating officer the flexibility to say, wait a minute, you did this last year and the year before. This is gonna go to a public hearing or something, even if it's a minor. So there's nothing in here that says you don't have a public hearing if it's a minor, you just don't have to. Is that correct?
Yeah, we could look at it because it's been a while. It's been a year maybe since we wrote this.
Right.
But yeah, I think if you got a minor 2 lot subdivision in 1 month and 4 months later you get 3 more on that same parent lot, it might be, hey, wait a minute, this, don't get cute with us. This is really a major at this point in time. And,
Right.
make them go through that process. But whether we need to clarify that in the bylaws is a question. I don't know offhand, but I made a note to look at that.
And also too, the draft bylaws, I mean, they're somewhat fluid. If they are passed, there will be amendments going, if we find that something isn't quite working right, it can be changed, with hearings, there'll be hearings involved.
I was trying to find the actual wording from that. I got my pages all messed up. Maybe it's as simple as I don't know if you have the regs in front of you,
I do have them. Yep.
but on page 9,
Uh-huh.
Under minor subdivision, approval process, where it says the administrating officer shall consider. Could that just be changed to may? I mean, give some flexibility so
Oh, I see what you're saying.
a public hearing can be called if the administrating officer says, yeah, well, I want this to go to everybody.
Yeah, I think what that's saying, so on page 9, it's saying that the administrative officer shall consider a minor subdivision, without a hearing. And that's really intended to just keep it easy, an easy review process. But if there's sort of gray zone in terms of this timeline, whether it's a minor versus a major, I guess that's what you're getting at.
Right.
And we could say may, or we could just clarify within 5 years, or no more than 3 lots within 5 years, or something like that.
Those are my questions.
Anything else?
Yeah, have you thought about, since you've been doing this for a while and dealing with other towns, where the administrative person you feel is going to lie, with the town or with regional planning? Or what is
Is
some
that a
town? No. What is some towns doing? Have you?
Most towns have their own, administrative officer. In the case of Cavendish, if this gets adopted, it might make sense to do something else. It might make sense to use our office potentially. Other towns are starting to talk about hiring such a position for multiple towns. So there might be 3 towns that have that share an administrative officer. So I think one of those 2 options would make the most sense for you.
A lot of those towns that have administrating officers for these also probably have zoning, and they have a zoning administrator.
Right, I think not a lot of business, and then all of a sudden there'll be 2 applications or something like that. So it'll be kind of inconsistent. It's hard to really know if how to staff that. So I think going through somebody like us, it might be good, just because we're always around and available if needed, kind of thing.
Thank you.
A question. Is John McCann here?
Right here.
Hi. Nice to meet you. John is the chair of the Planning Commission in Mount Holly, which is obviously a very similar structure as ours. They do have subdivision regulations and also do not have zoning. So I don't know if you have anything helpful or even as far as the administrator, on your end, and how you handle that in your perspective.
I haven't
Just
studied.
curious.
Yeah, I just want to say hi, everybody. I haven't studied the proposal, but if you guys have questions about how we've been administering subdivision in a no zoning town, which is somewhat rare in Vermont, as you know, be happy to answer any questions. But we do have an administrative officer. We have somebody that's staffing the select board clerk, the planning commission clerk, and the administrative officer position, kind of like as a town administrator. Clerical duties. It actually is working out really well. They're in the office 1 day a week, generally. So you schedule appointments for that day. Seems to work fine.
Do you have a lot of activity?
We do. A lot more than we initially thought.
How long have you had these subdivision regulations?
Since '98.
Oh, wow.
So we also have a flood bylaw, flood corridor bylaw. So that's something that gets some action too. And building construction registration, which isn't, bylaw is not doesn't control or regulate development, but it's a registry. So we get quite a bit of that too. And people asking questions pretty much every week.
What did you find that your 1998 ones didn't really cover? I know you're going through them to do it now, so what was the biggest issue?
Yeah, so a lot.
So it's just needs a rewrite.
It's I'm speaking for myself here. I can't speak for my commission, right? So there's a lot of gray area. So having a real tight procedural checklist is really helpful. It helps applicants know what the process is. Helps commissioners who come and go know what the process is, helps us follow it so we don't miss anything and then
Mhm.
have a legal issue later. So we have some confidence in what we record in the land records has been done right. There's a legal vulnerability there, right? I think we've found, especially in recent years, there's things work fine when everybody's acting in good faith, right? We kind of operated for a long time with everybody being good neighbors, doing the right thing. We found that that's less and less the case. There's a lot of people come in as professional developers and they're looking to find a loophole in every little rule. So one of the loopholes that we've closed or we're trying to close is the loophole for boundary line adjustments. So I know you guys aren't tackling that, but we are going to. We're going to regulate that because you can come in with a subdivision, get it approved, everything's nice and square and regular. And we've had people come in and do like 5 or 6 different boundary line adjustments and it looks nothing like what we approved. So, we've had some I'd say borderline dishonest stuff going on with boundary line adjustments. So some pretty big ones that are basically a subdivision. I probably have a list somewhere, but that's just off the top of my head.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Nothing on Zoom.
Do we need a motion to close this one? All right, do we need a motion to close the meeting?
Second.
Make the motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's closed.
Tier 3, but there is going to be a new Tier 3 being created by the state that's going to create sort of additional Act 250 jurisdiction in the most rural parts of the state. That's something to just be aware of and keep your eyes out on that state rulemaking process for Tier 3. And that's, again, has nothing to do with what this map is. But I'm happy to answer if there's any questions or concerns while I'm here.
Tim, are you gonna have this again on your next planning commission meeting, or are you?
There's talk about whether we have a hearing or the select board has a hearing. I don't know if that makes sense once the draft regional plan is completed, or
I don't know if a hearing necessarily is needed, but certainly a public meeting of any sort is good, and we can answer any questions. Or we're refining this literally every day, and we're hoping to finalize it by February. So if there's any concerns or comments, there's still time to change it after that. But so in February, the State Land Use Review Board is going to do their preliminary review of this thing. They're going to give us some feedback. We'll probably have to make some changes, and then they'll do their final review somewhere in August, September timeframe. So there's time to make changes. But if there's any concerns, I'd love to know about it now.
And that's kind of why I was wondering if you're gonna have it on your next one, just give people more
It'll be
time.
on.
I mean, you haven't seen it, we haven't got a lot of comments. But that's why I wanted to have it again in this meeting, so just keep putting it out there until it's time to say yes, or somebody finally wants to come forward with some questions that they have. So.
Yeah, we'll have it on our agenda probably for a few more meetings.
Yeah.
And also too, we're in the process of rewriting the town plan because that's due in 2028. So hopefully if we get the grant approval that you guys submitted to help us rewrite it.
I haven't heard on that yet.
Yeah.
There were 3 applications, and 2 most likely will be funded. So keep your fingers crossed.
Right.
Excellent.
Is that it on that?
Unless we have,
No, okay. We'll move on to 2. Old Town Garage update.
thank you, Jason. So I put this on the agenda because I had it on the agenda in the spring when I told you we did our last set of testing, and the state, nothing came up out of the ordinary over at the Old Town Garage. Thought we were going to close it out. The state decided that since we had some irregularities in the fall testing, that we should test again in the fall. So we tried to test again, but with the dry year, the wells, there's no water. So we couldn't test anything. So we have no answers, I guess. I put it on the agenda to tell you we have no answers now, but I told you I would have them in the fall, and we don't have them. More than likely, they're going to have us retest again either in the spring or next fall again before we have any idea on what we can do with that property. And just a reminder that is through the Petroleum Cleanup Fund at this point, so the state is picking up the tab for every time they come back here.
Any questions on that? No? We'll move on to new business. Discussion and possible approval of liquor licenses.
So we have 3 liquor licenses for discussion and possible approval tonight. We have, the first one is it Trebar LLC?
Yeah, sure.
Trebar LLC, which is Trevor, for a first class license. If you remember, we approved one in May, but there was complications with the state on this. So I think it was ultimately decided that start over, fresh new license. So that's why it's here tonight, even though we did kind of do something in May. But that's the first one. Do you want to take these individually since the next one kind of rides on that?
We can do them all together.
All right. The second one is the same company, Tree Bar LLC, which is an outside consumption permit. And the third one is a special events permit from Watson Wheeler Cider LLC, and that is to be held at Singleton's on the 13th.
Can I, Trevor, on the outside consumption, where is that going to be? Is that in the December or?
No, it's the permanent designation with regards to the license. It allows for outside consumption in the backyard. That we already went over it with the one of the reps from the Department of Liquor and Lottery and went over all the guidelines, and there's an area that's fenced off that we just have to delineate so people are able to go and have a drink outside as well.
Are we talking about this on Depot Street?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I did clarify that.
Yeah, it's 73 Depot. It's the
Okay.
coffee shop and whatever, but because of the way I had the business
Okay.
structured, the state requested that I put it under a different structure, not the DBAs, which
Okay.
you approved previously.
Any other questions?
The Watson Wheeler event is just one day at Singleton.
It's a 1-day special event. I'm assuming they're doing a tasting there.
Any other questions? If not, what are your pleasure on those 3
Make a
licenses?
motion, we approve all 3, the Tree Bar LLC and the Tree Bar outside consumption in the special event at Watson Wheeler at Singleton's on the 13th.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, we'll move on to consider recommendation for Fire District Number 1 committee appointment.
So
Presidential committee appointment.
I received a letter from the Prudential Committee Chairman of Cavendish Fire District Number 1. Basically saying that Don Henry has resigned from the Prudential Committee. He has moved out of the district, and the Prudential Committee requests that Debbie Norton of Proctorsville be added to the committee to fill the opening until the next election. I would just kind of say that the Prudential Committee would be the one to actually appoint a member, but it's been past practice in town that the select board make a recommendation, so the motion should probably be on a recommendation, not appointing.
Before the recommendation is made, the spelling of the first name needs to be changed. It's Debra, not Debbie. Just for clarification.
So make sure we get that in the motion. This was just in the letter.
What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we recommend Deborah Norton to be part of the Prudential Committee for the Proctorsville Fire Department, or the Cavendish Fire Department number 1.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, then we'll move on to 3, parking ordinance discussion.
So I put this in here, and I kind of want to open the discussion, so I know what the board is looking for in terms of, a parking ordinance that goes above and beyond the winter parking. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I don't really know what we wanted to say. I'm kind of looking for insight on what the board is looking for on this. I mean, and it could be maybe as simple and possible as, wording the existing ordinance allowing the select board to put up no overnight parking or something, signs. Currently, we don't have that ability to just put up those signs that I know of. It's not written in our ordinance saying that the select board can pick and choose. But I mean, we do have a parking ordinance, but it doesn't outline every single spot or the select board's ability to regulate.
So right now we have for the winter months, so that plows have no.
Yeah, the no overnight parking pretty much is winter only, and only town-owned roads as well.
Right.
I mean, there's other parking regulations in here, but they're kind of the standard, within the intersection, on any sidewalk or crosswalk. We have all that. It's more on the, I think the biggest concern is, parking overnight or length of time or something like that.
I would say it's more a length of time. Abandoned cars or cars that break down and just get left there. Because the problem you're going to run into with overnight during the summer or the spring when there isn't the snow on the ground is, what if somebody parks their car at one of the chargers?
Right.
And charges their car, and it's overnight, and so there'll have to be those instances. So I'm not worried so much about people parking overnight. It's cars that are there overnight, the next day, the next night, the next day. There has to be a limit as to how long the car can sit somewhere if it's public.
Where do you exclude just the chargers? No overnight parking except for at the charging stations, if they're being charged.
Right.
Because if you go excluding
I think it's,
on village streets, other than the overnight parking that we have right now, the ordinance, people park on the streets. You're gonna tell them they can't park there for their residence.
Right.
Because they don't care.
Well, that's what I said. That's for me. It's if it's just there continuously during the day, at night, during the day, because it's broken down or it's abandoned. Those are the ones that we want to address.
because we could, well, I'm sure there's a way we could address certain areas and word it to say where there's signs saying no overnight parking. So you could put them at the village green if you wanted to, or at the town office, as long as the sign is there.
Right.
We could go that route, because I think a town-wide no parking on the streets is too much. I mean, I don't see how you can do that. But there's certain areas where it doesn't work. I could look in, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what, we haven't had vehicles towed because of abandoned last year. That's a whole different set of rules through the sheriff and the DMV to get them considered abandoned and moved. No, I don't know if I'll look into that, to whether or not it can be put into the ordinance, or it does you no good because there's already a rule on roads. But if not, we can put something in there, I don't know, 7 days or 5 days or.
We should have a no parking from the corner of Depot Street to the charging station. Cause if we have to make that corner to go to the park out with a truck, and there's cars parked there, and the way that jets out, you cannot get a truck through there. We had that issue the other day. It was tough to get through there. Because cars are parked on both sides of the road right there.
I believe that's already covered. If we could hire somebody to paint,
Something to open that up.
we might be able to do that on our current one. So,
Okay.
but we just have to paint, so people know you can't park there. There, my notes.
Or anything else on that?
I think something maybe have to be done with an ordinance, but I do think signs are important. Let's say people who are visiting and stuff like that, in an area that kind of everybody agrees that could be a troubled area. I think, a sign would help.
Because the sheriff is not going to do anything without. He might with an abandoned vehicle,
Right.
but somebody just parking overnight, even in the winter time,
Mhm.
they're not going to do anything without an actual sign there stating no
Right.
parking overnight. Even though we have a town-wide ordinance on that, he's not going to do it. So the signs are a big part of that.
All right. We're good with that. We'll move on to discussion regarding anticipated town clerk and town treasurer's vacancy.
So I wanted to put this on the agenda, just to get the word out there. Diana has decided that she is not going to be running this March for either the town clerk or the town treasurer. So I kind of wanted to get the word out on this because these are two very important positions. And as of right now, I haven't heard of any interest or anybody that's looking to run. Not that anybody really knew that they were going to be open. So I just want to throw it out there that they definitely are. And anybody interested, you would have until January 26th to put in a petition with at least 10 signatures of registered voters. And there's a lot of information out there. If you have any questions on this, a good resource is the Vermont Secretary of State's website. Of course, coming in here as well and asking questions is what they do. And I think it's also important to note that it doesn't have to be, it's not town clerk / treasurer. They are you do have to run individually on these two. So, if you wanted both, it's 2 petitions. If you want just one, it's town clerk or town treasurer.
So are you anticipating maybe have 2 people? You know, I know Diane's been here forever, so she knows so much. Somebody coming in, do you really think it should be just one position for the 2 jobs, or you really think it's gonna be broken up?
I think it depends on the person. If somebody wants both, then absolutely, it could be done by one person, but you don't have to be town treasurer to be a good town clerk, or vice versa.
Right,
So,
right.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be split up or not.
It's hard when somebody's been in the job for so long, they just know so much.
It is, it's difficult when you change like that, you don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, we'll have more discussions on this come budget time. If somebody doesn't run for treasurer, maybe some has to be added to the budget to kind of have somebody come in temporarily for like an outside service. But as far as the town clerk, I don't know of any outside service necessarily for that
It'd have to
one,
be,
so.
I do believe that NEMRIC will do both of those positions on a temporary basis if needed.
If need be, yeah.
But I don't know anyone that's had that.
And I'm not so sure I wanna be the guinea pig on that one, but.
I know they've done it, but I don't know how well.
But it's a great opportunity for somebody.
Do you have the specs out there on both the jobs? So like, what's,
That's why I said the best place to go, I mean, they're regulated by the state, what the town clerk does, it's record keeping, it's elections, issuing, licenses, kind of the control of all the public records, keeping them safe and stuff like that. And those are the real main things. Smaller towns, there's always more flow to it than that, but those are the statutory type.
If I could add, Rick, I think it's fair to say, I'm your town auditor, I'm Andy Amstutz. I think you may want to proceed carefully here in terms of the town treasurer position. To your point, not only do you have someone there that knows everything about everything, it's a relatively technical position. So I think I would urge caution in terms of making sure that not only the candidate wants to do the job, but you have a capable candidate to do the job. The clerk, you have to be diligent, there's technical expertise there too, but the treasurer especially, after reviewing the process, you want the right person in the seat in that position.
Any other comments or concerns at this point?
I think I share Andy's concern, but it is an elected position, which is
And it has to stay that way, correct?
until we could change it, or if nobody runs for it, then we can. And even if somebody does run for it, to Andy's point, it'll come up during budget meetings that there probably should be some money in there. Even if we do have somebody run for treasurer to help them out and do a little outside, finance help on everything.
they may be expanding your job?
That would be a major conflict of interest.
Well, that's true, yes, I do know that.
I think Andy just wanted to speak up because when I told him about the treasurer, I might have left out a little, or not a lot, It's an elected position. Here you go. Just come right in. You can get it done.
Yeah, it's an elected position that has a lot of technical requirements. It's a tricky issue that I think.
It's as tricky as in the whole state.
Yeah. Yeah, and the more complicated the town gets, the more tricky I suspect the issue gets.
But I don't want to talk anybody out of the block or out of putting in a petition either. So.
Of course.
All right, there's not any more questions, we can move on to set budget meeting.
So I'd like to set a budget meeting. I think in the past couple of years that I've done this, we've had at least one meeting in December. So I'm kind of looking for an opening and what would work for everybody for a December meeting. I know we're kind of running out of December in a hurry, but I would prefer a couple weeks if it's going to be before Christmas, like the 22nd or 23rd. Or we could, if it's not going to be in December, then move it like to the week of January 5th, which is the first week of January.
I don't mind the 22nd, 23rd, but the week after I'm gonna be down in Rhode Island for most of that.
Want to shoot for the 22nd, if that's good with anybody in December?
That's Monday.
Monday, you might as well get it started. That's good with
I don't
everybody.
think I'm gonna be back. My sister's coming in, I know I'm gonna have to pick her up in my sled. I don't know what time she's coming in. I'll let you know.
It's hard to go around Christmas time to get everybody on the
Yeah,
same.
everybody's coming in early this year.
What time?
6 o'clock.
So the consensus is the 22nd at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. That's good for everybody else. At least get it started anyway. Do we want to figure out what we want to do after that?
For the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that unless you want to do, if you want to plan more than one now.
Yeah, maybe. The 5th?
Which is
The Monday?
2 weeks after?
Yeah.
Same time? Does that
Same
work for
time, yeah.
everybody?
Does that work for everybody, January 5th?
Yes.
Same time, 6 o'clock, and then 2-hour limit.
Yes.
Takes that long?
Not to exceed.
Right.
And then we have a regular meeting on the 12th, right?
Correct. The following Monday, we'd have a regular meeting. And then I'm sure we'll need at least one more, but we can figure that out in the January meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
One or two more. Perfect.
Sounds good.
Guess I better get to work.
We'll move on to manager's report.
I don't have a lot, but we did have our first plowable storm last week. I think the road crew did a pretty good job. All the trucks were in operation until the very end. And the only reason I say that, we had one truck that was towed away as we were sanding at the end of the storm. We do not have it back yet. So if we do get another storm in the next couple of days, that we're literally down 25% of our road crew, or our equipment. So if we do get some plowable snow, just, it adds quite a bit of time for each route for those trucks to cover. So if we don't get it back, a little patience is all. Hopefully we don't get a lot if we do get some. I wanted to throw out there that I have contacted the state again on the blinking school zone light. It's now laying in the snowbank, not just on the ground. I haven't heard back. It was just today that I got in touch with them again. It was supposed to have been done a couple weeks ago, but I understand with the storms, they had other things as well, maybe. But we keep asking them. I'm sure the school keeps asking them as well. So we're not going to let them forget about it. But I don't know when it's going to get done. Also, I don't know if anybody noticed, but we did get our first speed feedback sign put up on Depot Street. That's kind of was a work in progress. It got put back up today. We had some programming changes to make that had to be done on the computer, which I had to do here. Couldn't do it in the field, but it's back up. If you noticed, it was blinking on every speed instead of solid if you were at the speed limit or below. It is now solid speed limit below or blinking if you're 36 or above. And now we got the kinks worked out of that. We will probably be spring so they don't get hit by snow, but we have 4 more to put up, but they're all on 131. We have them, we gotta put them up. And that's it.
Dave. Shannon.
I'm good.
Randy.
I'm good.
Mike.
All set.
I'm all set. We have a motion to adjourn then.
Make a motion.
Oh, wait, Andy's gonna.
Wait.
Before were you gonna mention the designated destination of the previously resolved ARPA funds?
I think we can do that at a budget meeting, cause I didn't have the,
Okay.
my computer I had some issues on Friday and it didn't make the agenda, so we shouldn't vote on it if it wasn't on the agenda, but
Understood.
I thought about that for our first budget meeting.
Right.
I will remake the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? None.